Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coaching Program. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I train people for improved professional and personal development, offering my assistance for those ready to get their goals into tangible and focused and achievable plans of action. And this podcast is one tool I use to complete my mission. How this podcast works is very simple. In 10 minutes time, with 10-minute mark hits on your podcast machine, you will have a lesson you can take away with you and put into motion right now for your personal or professional development. And if the message you're hearing today is a bit too familiar, sounds like something that you've been doing already that hasn't quite clicked yet, what you're getting is reinforcement that what you have is a great idea, a great plan that may need a little extra help, a little extra seasoning. See if I can help you figure out that last piece to make things work by going to the website 10minutelifecoach.com. Now, today's message is literally stating the obvious, as in you have some obvious triggers to what you should be focusing on and where you should be going. One of the first things I did when I started my life coaching journey, if you will, my work towards being a person putting out professional and personal development issues, is a blog. It was actually an email newsletter that turned into a blog called You Already Have the Answers. I've actually written that up into a book that's been sort of passed around back and forth and redone in various manners, various shapes and forms. But what it ultimately turned into was about 2.5 years of weekly drops that were reminders that you had the answers to any question that was being asked. You had to make sure you were asking the right question of yourself. That all the tips and all the tools and all the training that you went through in your life prepared you for the things you were doing right now. And it was just a matter of tuning into the right answer by asking yourself the right questions, not denying yourself of what's going on, being there in the moment, and seeing exactly what needs to be done and what needs to be focused on. And so in that vein, most of my personal development has focused on that sort of approach, the you already have the answers thing. It's a matter of getting you to ask yourself the right questions and sometimes being triggered by questions done by me or by other things. That's why all the projects I do are based around questions and usually open-ended things that you can answer any way you want to. And if you're willing to go deep enough, you can get the right answer to the right question. The questions usually fall in line at the right time. The right things will be asked of you at the right time. The right answers come out at the right time. You can fall in line with that sort of logic. Now, the problem comes when you refuse to ask yourself any questions, when you assume that everything is fine, or the flip side, everything's so bad that it can't be fixed. Anything can be fixed. Everything is not always fine. When you look at the dichotomy of the two, trying to ignore the item by either saying everything is great or by saying everything's so awful, you might be able to see the pretty obvious middle ground that if you ask the right questions and work towards the right goals, you can make things better. You can fix things. Now, some things are a bit beyond the full fixing, but you can always move on from a point of life, a problem in life. Death is obviously something that's very, very final, but you can move on from the feelings, the hurt, the pain, and maybe even the circumstances that put you in that place because death is something that caused an issue. If you're looking at rebuilding your life, you can rebuild your life. Sometimes you can rebuild it to a better state. Sometimes you can just get yourself out of the funk you're in right now and get to some place where it's stable and you don't get as grand as you were before. But you can get out of wherever you are by putting forth the effort to move forward. And that means asking the right questions, sometimes a lot of questions. Sometimes it takes a good bit of time to work out those questions and those answers. And the answers that you get will bring about more questions. And the questions that are asked will not be very nice questions, will not drag out very good feelings. That's kind of the flip side of that one as well. When you're working your way through all those questions that you know you must ask yourself, you have to come up with answers. Some of those answers are fairly obvious. This is more things that you've been ignoring. You're ignoring asking yourself the question because you don't want to have to speak that answer aloud. And sometimes you don't actually know the answer to the question, and that's the real issue. You don't know how to get started. You don't know where to go for this. You really don't know what the answer is, but you know the right question. You know what needs to be known. You know what you need to look out for. You know what you need to find. You just don't have the tools in hand. You don't have the right people in place. You've never met the right path, the right way, the right motion to get things going. That is a problem, but only a problem as long as you sit there and allow it to be that problem, allow it to be an issue to get in your way, because the mere act of asking questions brings up some answers. And sometimes knowing you don't know the answer is the best way to get started. Curiosity will come to fruition. It'll start to scratch you, or start to become an itch you need to scratch, that you have to go forth and look for the answers. You have to try a few things. You have to bother a few people. You have to go out of your way to see things, to get different perspectives, different views, different thoughts, different ideas on how things can work. You won't know how to get out of this thing until you start working on it. And you won't know where the answers come from until you start asking the questions. So it's a big circular issue when you have the issues. You know you have a problem. You know you're sitting in some sort of despair. And you actually have the answers, or at least the way to find the answers. You just have to ask the right questions. Should you go left or right? Should you go up or down? Is this a problem that I can fix, or do I have to wait for someone else to fix their problem to move forward? Is this really my problem? Is this really a problem? These are some basic questions to ask whenever you get into a funk. These are questions that I kind of go into whenever things are down. When I'm looking at the issues I have at hand right now, my wife getting past her cancer diagnosis, getting past her treatment, and now getting back into the real world, she had to ask a lot of questions in the process there. I had to ask a lot of questions about what we're going on, what we're doing. How are we going to get through this? What would happen if we don't get through this? What are the consequences of her demise or my demise in the process? How will our daughter handle this? How will our son handle this? How will the rest of our family handle this? These are all questions that were very top of mind for the past year, as that was the main thing that was taking over my life and her getting better. Because once she got better, then I can work on me getting better. The problems we had with the business not working so well, my health, which was a chronic thing, but not quite as tragic, as dire as her health, and of course, the kids in their various stages of life. I mean, one started grad school and one started kindergarten. That's pretty stressful in a lot of different ways, going back and forth. But all those questions had to be asked in the process of going through to see what they handle and how to work things out. The good news is my wife's health got better, and so we'd have to deal with the dire circumstances of that. More good news, my health is getting better because the stress level is now down. I'm doing better on a health-wise, so I can focus on the family and the business and all the other things there. But these are all questions that had to be asked in the moment. Whenever you're dealing with some sort of issue, it's a question that must be asked. And the question usually is, what is the problem? And you start from there and you go through, how do I fix this problem? Can this problem be fixed? There are plenty of questions to ask yourself. You just have to ask the right ones in the right order and accept the answers to the questions as the truth and not as you wish them to be. Because unless you ask the right questions, unless you take in the true answers, you can never come up with a get well date for whatever the issue is. And remember, everything is fixable. Everything is figure outable. Everything can be changed, can be upgraded, can be worked out. Situations can look, can feel, can be dire, drastic, and life-threatening. But if a life does survive, if you can survive the incident, then you can move on and move forward and get something out of it. A better life, a lesson learned, a greater understanding. Something can come about from every single thing. Even tragedies can bring about a glad tiding, if you will, from the mix. It all comes down to knowing the questions you must ask in the moment, answering those questions honestly, and then following where those answers will lead you. And that's going to be the episode for this week. Thank you so much for joining us for the 10-Minute Life Coach. For more information about how I can help you in your journey, visit the website 10minutelifecoach.com. Also on the website, there, of course, the backlog of all the episodes we had from this podcast. And so you can check them all out there, from here to all the way back to the very, very bleak beginning of this podcast. And there are various ways where you can join up with me in the $10 Life Coach. If you've been a listener, longtime listener of the podcast, you'll know that the $10 Life Coach was a community that we started when we launched this thing 5 years ago. That's been relaunched. And the biggest issue is the tech issues are making it work. So at the moment, we do have a working website, a link on the website at the 10minutelifecoach.com. There's a button for $10 Life Coach. We're also testing an actual community app to work independently of the website. I think we're going with that because it looks like it'll be a much easier go. But if you want to get in on the early go, the good start, check out the website, 10minutelifecoach.com. Click on $10 Life Coach and go through the motions to take care of that. The $10 is essentially the fee for coffee and cookies and snacks to keep the little thing going. It's a community of people, like-minded people who want to work on getting better and who all have a singular focus on helping each other get to that next level. It's group coaching where we're all in there coaching ourselves, and inside of that you'll also get plenty of sneak peeks at things that I'm going to be launching beforehand. You'll get them for free or very, very cheap, and you'll always see them before they go live for the public, and that's going to be a part of the $10 Life Coach program. And unfortunately, we do these things ahead of time, so the timing may be a little off when you hear this, but we are looking at doing the outside app. So maybe that'll be the way we go. If we don't get enough people are testing the website right now. We're telling me how things are working. If it just doesn't work, we'll scrap it and go to the app. But same thing applies. $10 a month, and you get a chance to hang out with some very fine people who are all working for the benefits of the group. So check that out as well. Email me at info@jclevelandpayne.net, and you can always reach out to me for all sorts of things you're looking for. If you just want to chat, that's there as well. I'm looking to help 20 people. The number is down, or officially down to 20 people with their accountability work this year. And so the count is on to get people in for accountability partnerships. One person officially in the bag, or officially in the list. So that's 19 people left in the entire year of 2018. I'm recording this at the middle part of February, so we'll see how long it takes to get all 20 people in that goal. In the meantime, my goal is to wrap things up now, and that's going to happen. So thank you for listening again, and thank you so much for being a part of the community as it is. Share the podcast, like the podcast, make sure people know about the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and, of course, be here next week for another edition of the podcast for the 10-Minute Life Coach.